to be undergraduate, but anyway, it's the same thing. Both the undergraduate and graduate. And the first page 2 is due on the March 5th and the March 21st for the page 3. And the final submission is the April 23rd. Okay, so whether you keep in mind. So that may be the reason it's not a good idea to form a team with the graduate. Okay, so I think that we have the 8 undergraduate students. You guys can form the 3 team, the 3-3-2. Okay, so it's up to you who's gonna be the member of the team by 2. Not always the more student you have, the better. I don't think so. The more student you have, the more time you guys fighting each other. So the second announcement is, I think that this one. I said the syllabus was the last handout, printed handout, but I forgot the last time to ask you to print out the Chapter 7 handout. So we are going to use this one. Why don't you pick it up behind? The GA is handing out this one. But the next class, you need to print out the Chapter 8 individually. We are not going to provide the Chapter 8 the handout. So why don't you find the Chapter 8 handout from the Canvas. Everything is available on Canvas, so we can use that. Also, as I announced the last class, so you need to form a team by 3. Okay, just in case by 2, only 1 or 2 team will have the group by 2. In case we do not have enough students, so you need to inform to the GA, email her, then she will reply to you whether your project is okay or not with the title. So why don't you guys discuss first, then send the title only, not abstract, not problem statement here, so just the project title to her, then she will reply to them. You guys can prepare for the page 1 submission. Page 1 submission is next week, the January 28th, 8th, 9th, so you don't have enough time. Okay?
It's on Canvas.
Yeah, it's available on Canvas. Okay? However, this one is on my laptop. And probably from now on, I'm going to speed up the lecture. Okay? If you already took the database course before you are undergraduate, I think that this might be easy to understand because it's kind of a review. Then from the second part of the semester, we will focus on the more topics in advanced database. Otherwise, if you are new in the database area, so probably it will be very tough, especially for the undergraduate student, which means you guys need to read the textbook or at least preview the PPT-5 before you come to here, then it will be, and also it will be okay, probably. Otherwise, so you need to do the review after the class. So think about why you guys have only the 9 credit hour, the 3 subject in a semester, which means the undergraduate has 4 or 5 after that, but the graduate student is 3. Is mostly 3 courses. That doesn't mean you guys can enjoy your life. Instead, you guys need to work hard the other time. Okay, so that's my suggestion. Preview or at least a review after the class. Do not overlook this class. So last semester, several students already failed this course, so need to retake this class. So do not try to back me after final exam. Last semester I got a lot of the appeals. The most frequent one was one of my relatives died, was sick, and I got the mental disease. So no excuse, okay? So if I consider, I'm very sorry if you have such the family matter or any problem or anything. So I'm very sorry, but that cannot excuse your the performance or the low performance. Okay, even don't think about it. So if you are very serious for the GPA or your grade because of your scholarship or the condition to stay in the United States to keep the visa status, whatever, you need to work hard during the semester. Okay? Because of the the serious condition or situation, do I need to change the grade? No, never ever I change the grade. Okay? Even though you need to return your country, I'm personally very sorry about that, but as an instructor, as a teacher, no, I cannot consider such an individual situation in my grade. Okay? Don't blame me, and before that, you guys need to work hard throughout the semester. So never ever I change it. So set my grade because of the individual situation. So that's the first and last time to ask you regarding to such a grade issue, grading or the final grade. Okay. And also, if you have any problem on the grading or the the homework or quiz, you guys contact the GA anytime before I report your final grade. 90% of the students actually come by after final grade, so no way to change. Okay. Also, I'd like to usually try to my best to give a chance to check your final exam sheet also. Okay. After that, even the couple of yesterday and the day ago, I got 3 students who want to check the final exam sheet of the last semester. Even though I mistake for that grading, no chance to change it. Even though you blame me, it's not fair, but it's your fault. I gave you. If I do not give the chance to check it, yes, that is my fault, but I already gave. But you are lazy, then later, then you check that this is not fair, but no time. Okay, that's too late. Okay, so I spent a little bit more time on last class to introduce this class, but one last thing. So we have the first exercise lab, January 29th, next week, Thursday. GA and me decided to split into 2 groups. So you probably already get the message from through the Canvas. Why don't you check the Canvas message? If you do not receive it yet, then if you do not succeed, there are 2 groups. One group is the 12 or 20 to the 130. Okay. Then second group is 135 to the 245. So if you have any other conflict schedule with any others, so why don't you contact the GA as soon as possible and try to change the construct of your group. Okay. Otherwise, it will be fixed. Then we will have the exercise lab in 2 times. Okay. Because we have only there are only 24 or 5 the available computer in 163. I don't think if you want to come to the other groups, I don't think you have a chance to sit on. But just in case somebody missed the class, then you can sit on. But otherwise, so please contact the GA if you want to change your group. Yes, it's a lab next week. Okay, so. We spend a lot of time. What is the database and what is the data and what is the database? Okay. So as we have discussed a lot, what is the data? Actually, the definition of data, definition information, depending on the scholar or the researcher, is controversial. But in our class, we will define the information is everything. Okay. So it's any information, it's information. But from the information, if we collect the important, meaningful information, and if they are organized means it's a structure, data structure that you learned in your data structure class, even any other classes of the computer science. Yeah, that is the data structure. That is organized data information. So such organized information. Data, we are going to collect such a data to make the database. It's a collection of the related data means, so we will see what is related data. That's another important concept that we are going to catch throughout the semester. Because of that, it is one of the characteristics of our database model, which is a relational database. So using that, the data and database, we can make the software, we can use the software that is a DBMS, such as Oracle DBS, DB2, SQL Server, MySQL. There are more than 1,000 or 2,000 available DBMS software. Among them, we are going to use the Oracle database. Near soon, you will receive the email, okay, from the IT service or the owner who is in charge of our IT in School of Engineering. So you will receive the email regarding to your Oracle account as well as a password. So then you can access our Oracle server, then you can practice by yourself. Okay, then our goal is to build the database system. So what is the main characteristic of using such a database? What is the opposite of the using database? How can we manage? How can we store the data in computer system without using database? It's a file system. Okay, that's also a good topic to discuss. The using file system, using database, which one is better, what is the pros, what is the cons, and what is the advantage, what is the disadvantage. But later, when we cover most of the topic, we have a chance to talk about which one is better to use to manage and store the data, either database system or file system. Okay, but anyway, so in case we are using the database, what is the characteristic? What is the main characteristic of the database? In other words, yes?
You have a Mohai Krishna in your back?
More what?
Mohai Krishna? No?
Anyone? No? Okay. So what is the main characteristic? What is the different? In other words, what is the different thing from the using file system? Okay.
Provide fast access?
Fast access, that's one thing we need to discuss later. So using file system, using database, which one will be faster? File system and the database? That's a good actually question.
Data.
Just in general?
You can improve the DBMS.
Yes, we need to improve. So actually the DBMS is a huge, very big the software application, which means you need a lot of resources to run. File system is so simple. You can open your file, you can access the file using the C program, Java program, any program language, and return it. But DBMS, you need to connect. You need to get the permission. You need to find the location of it takes a longer time actually. Okay. So in general, file system is faster. But many people use the database system because it's fast. Right? So that method, how we can speed up to access the data using database, we will discuss more in the second part of that. So go back to our topic. So one of the main characteristics is the data abstraction. What does that mean, data abstraction? It's the abstracted data. What is the benefit? So we talk about a lot the abstraction in computer science or even in the object-oriented programming. One of the characteristics of the object-oriented programming is abstraction or encapsulation, something like that. What is the benefit of abstraction? We don't have to worry about what's going on inside, right? What we need to know is if we are dealing with a please, we are in the class.
Excuse me. Is there Miss Rosella here? Rosella?
I don't think this is a good idea to bother my class.
Well, we have an emergency.
You need
We
to
have
inform me.
respond to it.
Then
How?
first you need to say to me it's an emergency, then bother
I'm trying to get
me.
your attention, but you wasn't listening. That's my job, sir.
That's my job. I really hate such a situation. The most important thing is class, right? They don't care.
So it became an emergency. That thing went off.
Then they say there's an emergency. Then I can understand. Do they say, no,
Yeah.
just open.
He said it. So you were talking.
And this is not the first time. Many times
Yeah.
in the classroom. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go back to what is the abstraction? Abstraction, for example, when you access the data in file system, as I said, we need to know file name, and we need to know how to open it. And even though we open it, we need to know where the data is located. So, for example, this is the foo.txt file. So in your C program, you need to open this file and read and write that. You need to read this file, and the data is, for example, the 5th bit file. You need to know everything to read the data, right? And even if you want to write the data, you need to have your own format. For example, I manage my contact information using the text file still. I'm not using any other software. Then name, comma, address, comma, and the phone number, something like that. You should know in your programming. But if you have the data abstraction, you don't have to worry about what's going on inside. Okay? DBMS will be in charge of to access the data. Instead, what you guys need to know is it's not file name. We will see it's called a table name or something object name, and also column name or attribute name, something like that. That's it. We can access the data. Physically, where the data is stored, no, we don't have to worry about it. Instead, the DBMS itself will take care. So that is the data abstraction. And another characteristic of the multi-view of the data is, let's consider this one. Okay, we have the foo.txt file that has the name and phone number and address. Okay, so what? And one more thing, social security number. So social security number is the very important information. I don't want to release this information. So this one can be viewed by me and my secretary and the other payroll office. Okay, but only payroll office need to access the social security number. This one to pay the salary. Okay, the other no. Is there any way to implement such a security using the file system?
No. If you can access to the file, you can access to everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So you cannot specify the read and write by the byte or record? No, it's not easy. There might be, but anyway, it's a very tough and almost impossible. So database, if you are using the database, you can easily. You don't have to create the several files. Instead, just one database object, which is called sometimes a table, sometimes a relation. So we will see later. But anyway, if you create just one, then it can be viewed as differently. You can apply the different security level. Okay, so that is another benefit. The next one is, and this is also a good example. So if I open the read and write this file, can you open this same file using your program?
No, it doesn't come up concurrently.
Or if you open the Microsoft Word then and also try to open that file, what is the message? It will be open as the read only, right? Which means it doesn't support
Concurrent
multi-user, right?
Multi-task.
But what about the database? Probably this database, even though you don't know much about the database system, it may serve many users, right? At that time, do we need to create the same table but the copies of them? No, we don't have to. Only one table, but we can serve for the many. For example, I'd like to buy the stock. Right now, the oil company is not so good. It's very low. Is it bottom? I'm not sure. If that is bottom, I'd like to buy it, right? May have a higher chance to gain. But when you purchase such a stock, Okay, when you trade the stock, then how many users at the same time access? Many users, sometimes millions. It's worldwide, right? At that time, do we have the multiple copies of such a table or such a data source? No, only one. Okay, then we can serve. That is another main characteristic of the database approach. Okay, so we will see such a main characteristic throughout the semester. In the database, also we have different types of users. It's not very critical. I try to just introduce. One is just a user, okay, who are using such a data. Mostly is a developer, okay. Nowadays, not many end users directly access the database. However, maybe 20 years ago, when the Relational Database Management System, RDB, was introduced the first time, even end user directly connect the database to get the data. Because it's easy. You may realize how much difficult to access the data, but it was relatively easier than compared to other the software or DBMS. So that is the database user, okay? And we have different types such a user. One is the database administrator, and nowadays the designer is sometimes it's called architect. Architecture is so mostly focus on the design of the database. On the other hand, the database administrator focus on the manage the system itself. Okay, I was actually the database administrator before I moved to United States. It was 13 years ago already. So I spent 7.5 years as a database administrator in a bank. So I managed the 20-something DBMS as a database administrator. Then, so still, I know some of the students would like to get a job as a database administrator. Bad news is usually database administrator is very hard to get an entry level position. So mostly the experience, at least 2 or 3 years experience on the database. But good news, if you get a job as a database administrator, easily at the reasonable level of the payroll, pay stuff. But that doesn't mean it's an easy job, because sometimes you need to work the overnight. Why? Because nobody wants the database will be hurt, right? So mostly it's after the office hour, you need to work, study, you need to start to work for the administrator job of the database. So that was one of the reasons why I quit the job. My wife almost would like to kill me. Every 10 p.m. I got a phone call from my company. I need to go there. Then the most job is just a simple job. It's a backup and restore and something like that. Then in the morning, can I go back to home? No. I need to watch whether database is working very well. Okay. So end user, but anyway, this is not critical. You can just go over. Okay. Then advantage. So we will see what kind of advantage we can get while we are learning the database itself. But you can intuitively understand such a benefit of all of them are good. The comment. Okay. So I'd like to introduce very, very briefly about the history about the database technology. How many of you heard about the relational database? So what is a relation?
Relation, how can I say that? It's some kind of data and some the other kind of data got some relation.
Yes, that's the most of the students understand about the relation, but it's not only such a relationship between the data and the other data source, but also relation means
Kind of association between.
association. You know, when I get a job, after I graduate my undergraduate major was not the computer science. It was the mathematics. So I majored in the mathematics, especially mathematics education. So I'd like to be a high school math teacher. So that was my dream. But I need to give up because I need to pass the national exam to be a high school teacher. It was the policy, still existing policy, the exam in my hometown. So after I finished my military service for 2 years, just like the other people, I forgot everything. So, but barely I graduate, then I was looking for a job at the time. So I applied for the data entry bank. I didn't know that at the time it was the position for the IT service or the IT department, but I just applied as a banker. So I expected at the time I'd like to be a teller or something like that. But I was selected as a database administrator by my manager only because of my major. It's mathematics. Because relational database model is almost close to the mathematics, not statistics. It's a set theory. You know the set? Set theory, like this one. Right? Or sometimes x bar, x is bigger than 0 and x is a natural number, something like that. Right?
Yeah.
So this is a set theory. Then this set, concept of a set is the same as relation. Actually, we are going to learn. This one is named as relation instead of set. Okay? Because set is too popular in the mathematics. So it's almost the same concept. So when we are saying the relational database model, relation actually comes from set. Okay? I know such a relationship is another meaning. Okay, so relational database is the first one. No, before that we have the different types of model. What is a model?
Template.
Model is
How structured
template. So if you watch the model fashion show, right? So many of the model, female or male models are working, okay, to the stage. At that time, why we call them as a model? It's kind of, as you said, template of the body, right? We are not looking for the very beautiful or the handsome guy or the beautiful woman for the model. Instead, perfect. That can represent the design of the clothes, something like that. Okay? Model. So, model, in terms of such a computer science and data structure, what is a model? So we need to find, I think the template is correct. We need to find such an organization or such a structure, in other words, rule or concept of database. Okay, so that is the model. So relational database model means rules or a set of rules. Definitely not just one, many rules, many concepts. Okay, such a group of concepts will be certain database model. It's a data structure. Okay, we need to organize because eventually we are going to use this model for computer, not for the kindergarten student who are like you. It's for computer. So that model, how many different models? So many. I cannot count all of them. For example, network model. So if we consider something network, like the node and some edges, connected one. So if we can consider something data between the data and is connected and source and destination, something like that, which I do not know a lot. That is a network database model. And also there is another one which is very popular, which is called hierarchical database model. So if we consider data as like this one, for example, bank. Bank has several branch. Branch has the saving account and checking account, loan, something like that, and customer. So this one has this one. So it looks like the tree structure is called the hierarchical database. So if we use such a model for the database, it's called the hierarchical database model, which is still used in banking and financial sector. Because it's very easy to find the next data, which is called the get next. You can get next, or get unique. Using such a method, you can easily find the data, okay, and very secure. The problem is, customer may be for each different node. So it's not easy to combine, integrate. So that is hierarchical database model. Something object-oriented database model. If you consider data as an object, this is an object-oriented database. Among them, who will select relational database model, which is proposed by anyone who knows?
IBM.
IBM? IBM who? Dr. Code.
Yes.
Dr. E.F. Code, who was the researcher in IBM T.J. Watson Center, which is very close here. So 1 hour driving distance is a white plane. Okay? When? 1970?
1970? I just really know.
Actually, the 1970 is in academia. The paper was published in 1969. So 1969, what happened? The Neil Armstrong touched the moon. It's I think the July, August. And that's another thing happened in 1969. And also there is another important event. Professor Lee was born April. I need to change this. So, 1969, Dr. E.F. Code proposed the relational database model for what? One. Because at the time, we have the several very popular database model, but it's very hard to manage